Hey guys, this is Gene Jensen, and on this video I'm going to show you how to do this. Crappie. Crappie are a great eating fish. And I'm going to show you the ins and outs, how I prepare, how I rig, how I find them, and how I catch them. Can't beat that. Let's see what happens. Alright, well first of all, let me talk about how I do my pre-fishing trip scouting, whatever you want to call it. How I use my computer to be able to find fishing reports and find locations and find spots on the lake to fish, things like that. This is something I do for bass fishing, something I do for crappie fishing. So, especially when I'm going to a lake that I've never been to before. The first thing I do is I get on Google and I start searching for fishing reports for that particular lake. I'm lucky here in Georgia, and you guys in Alabama are lucky too. We have here in Georgia, we have Georgia Outdoor News. Alabama has Alabama Outdoor News, which is a local publication. I've been subscribing to Georgia Outdoor News since 2002, so 11 years, and I love it. It's a great magazine. But on their website and in their magazine, they have monthly fishing reports, and they get these local guides to give these fishing reports. And I'm going to show you how I find them on Google. Okay. First of all, I just type in, there's a code that Google uses so you can search a specific site, and it's just, I'm going to type in site, if I could spell, gon.com, which is the name of the website. So it's the website name minus the www at the beginning, okay? And then I'll type in Clarks Hill in November. Hit enter. And this is what pops up. I have fishing reports from November of 2013, 2012, 2011, 2010, 2008, 2009, 6, 7. I can just go on, and I can just click on and read all these fishing reports. But so I did that. I went in, I clicked on all of these, and all of them have something in common. For the crappie ones, that we have a guide up there that's been guiding for years named William Sasser, and his dad was a guide, and they've been putting brush piles out for more than 30 years. So Mr. Sasser is always a good source of information, and he does these fishing reports. And you can read the crappie one. It's pretty simple. In 2011, it says that they were in the tops of trees at 20 feet deep. The trees were in 30 to 40 foot of water, and they were at 20 feet deep in the tops of these trees. So that's when I got to thinking, okay, where are all these stinking trees out in the middle of the lake? I knew of some back when the lake was down. I knew there were trees that were sticking out of the water, so I know about the general area where they were. In this fishing report, it says they were fishing Dorden and Parksville. Well, Dorden and Parksville are on the South Carolina side, and I wanted to fish the Georgia Little River, which is the western part of the lake. Clarksville is 71,000 acres. A lot of places for the fish to hide. Anyway, so let me show you the little trick I did. I opened up Google Earth. Okay, let's do a quick zoom into the spot on the lake I want to fish. I use Google Earth a lot for a lot of different things. This is a hunting area that I hunt quite frequently. But anyway, here is Georgia Little River area. And I remembered that, or I figured out when I got on here, that the last picture that was saved on Google Earth of Clarks Hill was when the lake was very low. Okay? And if it's not the last picture, let me show you a little trick. Right up here in the upper part of the screen, you see this little clock with the backwards arrow. Click on it. It becomes a timeline, and it has pictures of the lake or of wherever. You know, it goes back and it shows the pictures of what you're looking at all the way back as far as Google has them saved. And these last two pictures are actually from the USGA website that Google has put on here. Okay, so that's the timeline. I use that every time I'm scouting a lake because I want to see if it was ever low. If I want to see where people were fishing. I want to look for brush piles and things like that. I love this part of this app, or this part of this Google Earth, because you can do that. You can go in and I'll zoom way in and start running the bank, and looking for rock piles and brush piles and things like that. See, like here's a rock pile right here. Places that will hold fish as they're moving in and out of these pockets and things like that. I'll use that. But on this particular one, because the lake was down so far this past year, the treetops were sticking out of the water that are now 18 to 20 feet under. Okay? So here's my treetops. There is a bunch of them. How cool is that? So how do I get them from Google Earth to my fish finder? And how can I find them? Well, here's my trick number 2. On my cell phone, I have an app called GPS Kit. I had to pay for this app, and it's worth every dime. Okay? And I clicked on GPS Kit, and the background for this app, you can set it to be Google Earth. And it just so happens that the last picture that Google Earth took is when the lake was down. So I can see all these treetops on this app. They're out of the water. Okay? I'm lucky. If you don't see that and you have to transpose them, at least you can get close and get into a general area where they're at and then go up and down with your boat and look for it. But I was lucky because they were exposed in the picture. So I went around and I put a waypoint on every single one of those treetops on that end of the lake. I ended up with over 200 waypoints. So 200 trees in about a 12, 15 mile stretch of the lake. That's where I started fishing. I just picked a spot and went to go look for trees. And it come to find out that about 75% of the trees had crappie on them. And I just stopped and fished them. So let's go out to the lake. I'm going to show you how I located them, how I used this and my fish finders, my Ray Marine Dragonfly and my Lowrance HDS 8. How I used them to pinpoint these spots, how I stopped, how I caught the fish, and so on and so forth. Let's go from there. It should be an absolute blast. All right, here we go. All right, just crossed it. There's the tree. There it is on my Lowrance. There's the crappie. I go over. I can do one of two things. I can mark the crappie, or I can go down here and I mark the base of that tree, but I chose to mark the crappie. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and forth over top of it. I'm going to try to pinpoint it a little bit better, and I'm going to drop a buoy down on it. I'm going to do this at 3 or 4 different places, and I'm going to stop the fish. Alright, let me show you how I rig up to fish these, to catch these crappie out of these brush piles. I use live bait, crappie minnows. I always buy the medium crappie minnows, and I like to have the as large as I can get, but the large crappie minnows are way too big. So anyway, medium crappie minnows. I have an ultralight Abu Garcia rod with an Abu Garcia cardinal reel. It's a cardinal rod and reel. I bought it at Walmart. It was a combo. I can't remember how much it ran me. Anyway, it's a really good ultralight rod. I enjoy it. I have a 4-pound test. Had a seagull almost land in my boat. Anyway, I got a 4-pound test monofilament, high vis so I can detect the lightest bites. I got a number 2 Aberdeen hook, and right now I'm using a 3/8 ounce drop shot weight just so I can just hook it onto the bottom of the line, into the line. I rig kind of like a drop shot. Oh, and another weight I use a bell sinker. I like a heavy bell sinker, 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounces if I'm fishing really deep, but the fish are about 10 feet deep right now, so I'm going a little bit lighter. Anyway, it's kind of like a drop shot rod. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a Palomar knot, and I didn't even, sitting there talking and didn't even do that right. Anyway, okay, I'm going to tie a Palomar knot in the line with a long tag in, just like a drop shot. Guess I'll stop talking and start tying. Wet my line good. Now, with a drop shot, I always teach to run the tag end back down through the hook. It's not necessary right now, right here, because this is what you're going to do. You're going to tie 3, let me show you real close. I'm going to wrap this around my fingers just like this, and I'm going to pass the hook through that loop 3 times. Okay, then I'm just going to cinch it. It's like a triple loop knot. I don't know what they call it, but anyway. Cinch it tight, and what that has created is a little dropper that comes off the main line. All right. Then I simply just take my drop shot weight, cinch it into the bottom just like this. Now, the reason I do this when I'm fishing brush piles, this is a pretty cool little trick, is this helps me get it unhung. If I drop down in the brush pile and this thing gets hung up in the hook gets hung up in the brush, a lot of times I can drop that weight down and it'll help break this hook loose, and I'll just kind of shake it and it comes right back out. Takes a little practice, but you know, you'll get it down. But that's why I do a weight below the hook. Now, let's get a minnow out. There's 2 different ways I hook this, but right now, sometimes I'll hook it through the tail, but right now I'm hooking it through the mouth, just through the bottom lip, just like this, and up through between the eyes. And that's it, just like that. All right. Put a marker buoy out there just to kind of help pinpoint it. I'm going to show you how it looks like when I'm coming up on the tree. Okay, here's my regular sonar or fish finder. There's my down scan, okay, or my down imaging. I want to show you what I'm doing with my down imaging. Watch my arrow. My down imaging reads kind of right to left just a little bit, just enough to give me a little side view. So I'm going to spin my arrow on my trolling motor until I see the tree on my down imaging. There it is. It means it's off that way. So I'm going to go and I'm going to pull up to there. And then I'm going to drop 15 feet. 1, 15. Okay. Just got 1 rod out right now just to see what happens. My goal is to drop down right on top of them to where they have to feed, you know, crappie feed up. So, and if you can kind of tell why I have that marker buoy sitting right there, there's a good reason for it. It gives me a visual reference to help me keep in place. That's all it's for. Oh, it might be getting a bite. Nope. That is, right there. Nice, good crappie. That's eating size right there. Come on, stop flopping so I can grab your lips. Not bad. Good little crappie. Get this off my head. Oh. Now you kind of see how that works. It's kind of simple when you kind of put it all together, but pretty cool. I'm gonna keep fishing, see if I can catch a limit. Later. All right, this tree is huge. It's basically just a big old freaking oak tree, and it's 1.5 times the length of my boat, but both directions. But the crappie are just in one spot, and so I'm going over top of this tree, and I should come right up on the crappie and start getting bit. Let's see. I'm gonna very slowly edge up there, almost like I'm trolling. fish on here. Ah, another good crappie. I just kind of edged up to it. A good one. Love it. I don't think I'm gonna bass fish anymore. Kidding. Look at that. But you guys just see this. This is a crappie counter, a little thing that I use to keep track of how many I've caught so I don't go over my limit. The limit here in Georgia is 30 a person. As long as I keep clicking that sucker, I can stay legal and I don't get caught, I don't get busted by the game warden for being over my limit, because I personally don't count fish. I never have. This has been a huge help. The key point to remember is that if you're getting bites on a brush pile and getting bites on a brush pile, and then all of a sudden you go 5 to 10 minutes without a bite at all, pick up and move and go to your next spot, and then make a milk run. Go to have 3 or 4 spots already marked, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then come back around and just do a loop, and you'll catch a lot more fish. Don't waste your time if that school shuts down. You know, you catch 2 or 3 out of them, they're going to shut down. Sometimes 5 or 10 out of them, they'll shut down. But the way you keep catching them is you keep bouncing from place to place. You don't stay in one spot and try to milk that whole spot dry. And that's what I'm going to do. I've been 5 minutes without a bite, sitting right over the school. I'm out. Let's go to the next spot. Couple more. There's another one. Another nice one. All right. That's 30. Let's go home. All right, let me run a recap real quick, just in case I missed anything, and I may get home after dark, so it'll be kind of tough to do this. I showed you guys how to use the internet to find fishing reports, and to use Google Earth to find fish holding structure, or fish holding cover and structure, really. But Google Earth is such a great tool. And I came out here and used the app on my iPhone and went and found these trees. It was pretty simple. You just ran to the point that you put on the GPS, ran over it, saw it, marked it on the fish finder. And if there were fish on it, stopped and fished it. Showed you how to rig them. Some of the things I wanted to make sure I cover was don't spend a whole lot of time at a brush pile if you're not getting bit. There may be 1,000 crappie in that pile, but if they're not going to bite, they're just not going to bite. Go on to the next one. Have 3 or 4 or 5 marks so you can just bounce from one to the other, and as you make that rotation, the school will calm down and you'll be able to catch some more. And that's kind of what I did the last few hours to finish off my limit. If they're gar in the area, get out of there. The crappie are going to shut down. You may catch 1 or 2 of them, but they're going to pretty much shut down. Showed you how to rig it. Showed you the different ways of rigging it. Hopefully come mid-winter I'll be doing some trolling, and I can show you guys how I troll and how I find the fish and how I troll during that period of time. I love crappie fishing. It's one of the best fish to eat out of a freshwater lake, in my opinion. I love it. Got a fish fry coming up. My wife said she wanted fish, so I came out and I caught a bunch. In the last couple of days, I think I've caught 30, 50, about 50 fish, maybe 55 fish. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad I was able to show you this. And like I always say, visit bassresource.com for the answers to all your questions about bass fishing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing a whole lot of different videos. Things are rapidly changing in my life, so we'll see what happens and see what all I do in the future. Thanks. Have a great one.